Here on my iPhone with the Desmos app. And what we're going to do is use the table feature in Desmos to compute the braking distance, holding the velocity, the gravity, obviously, and the friction constant. And then we will vary the grade to help us fill in that table on our assignment. So, like we had before, I'm going to make a folder for my variables just to hold them. I got to spell that right, variables. Okay, and then in my variables folder, I need my V naught variable, which we're actually gonna, it's a constant really because we're gonna hold it constant. So I'm just gonna define it so we have it. And then if we change it, we only have to change it in one place, but we're gonna hold that at 66 feet per second. Then I hit, and oops, let's go back to that. So since we don't want the slider to work on this thing, one way you can get that to sort of hold still is just to set the boundaries at 66 and the step at 0. And now you'll notice that slider is deactivated and it's set at 66. So I'm going to do that for all my constant variables. Our gravity is going to be at 32.3 feet per second. So little g equals, and then 32.3. Same thing, I'm going to do 32.3 for my boundaries, and then my step is 0, and that'll freeze that at 32.3. And then finally, for our friction, which is our lowercase f variable, oops, I want that to be in my folder. There we go. Lowercase f, and we're going to set that at 0.8 like we did in the activity. And then again, I'm just going to freeze that at 0.8 with a step of 0. And now I'm ready to put my formula in. So since we're going to be changing the grade, our distance is actually a function of the grade. So I'm going to set it up like it's a function so I can change the grade value quickly in a table and have it compute various values for the distance. So my d is not just going to be a variable, it's going to actually be a function. And the way you indicate that it's a function is you put the variable d for the name of the function, and then in the parentheses you put the variable that it's going to receive or be dependent on. So we'll enter that as d of g, and then let's set that equal to the formula, just like we did in our activity. So the formula is a big fraction, or a rational expression. On top, it's the velocity variable squared, so v naught squared. If you want to square something, just hit that key that looks like a squared, and that'll square it. In the denominator, remember, it's 2g, 2 times the gravity, times the sum of the friction and the grade. So F plus G, capital G, that would be. Okay, so we've set everything. Oops, I forgot the G. We've set everything up. Sorry about that. And now what we're going to do, let me scoot this. Let's turn off the grid to get the distractions out of here. I just uncheck all these boxes and we'll turn that off. And then pull my screen up a little bit. I don't need that purple, so I can turn that off. Now what I want to do is make a table. So in cell 6, I'm going to hit the plus sign and I'm going to select table. And in my first column, rather than calling that X1, I'm going to call it capital G1 because that's the value that I'm going to vary. The subscript 1 tells us that we're going to be changing the values of that. In the next column, I want to get it to calculate the distance rounded to 2 decimal places, just like it did in our chart there on the activity that I handed out. So I'm going to do the round function first. Since I know I'm going to round it off, I might as well stick that in first. And then what I want to do is just say get my distance, so my d function, send it the g1 variable, whatever that value happens to be. So I just say send it g1. Oops, I got to put it in parentheses like we had before. So d of g1, close those parentheses, and then before you close off the rounding parentheses, put comma 2 so that we get 2 decimal places. All right, now in that third column, we want to round it to the nearest whole number, like it says in the table. So I'm going to hit round again, scroll down. Rounding's near at the bottom there, round, and then it's the same thing but without the comma 2. So I'm going to do G1 no, D of G1. So lowercase d, parentheses, and then capital G1, close those parentheses, and then go ahead and close the second parentheses. You can tap that color purple off. We don't need anything to show up on the graph. So now your tendency is going to be to want to use your finger to slide back to the other side of your table, but you can't do that. If you want to go left in your table, you got to use this arrow key that's under the functions. I know it's kind of awkward, but you use the arrow key that's under functions. If you want to go back and see that column again, you got to go right arrow to see that. All right, so that's how you get through those. And then what we'll do is simply add numbers to the G1 column, just like they are on the handout table. So the first one's 0, and notice it fills in the numbers. The rounded to 2 decimal places answer is 84.29. And then, oops, where's my, get my keyboard back here. And then my rounded off to the nearest integer is 84. And we just use those to fill in the table. And then I think the next one is what, 0.25? So 0.25 for the grade. Maybe it's 0.025. It's not 25%, it's 2.5%. So there we go. 0.025, and then we've got our values. And again, you can just arrow over. Make sure you're up in that top column to arrow over so you can see the other values. It's a little easier to see the whole table if you're doing it on a tablet or your computer. But if the phone's all you have, I just wanted you to see that you can still do it. Now I'm going to zoom out. So you can see I've just filled in 2 rows. You can type the rest of the numbers in down that vertical G1 column, and the answers will just show up. So Desmos is a nice tool for doing something like holding some values in a formula constant and then using the table feature to vary the values of the other variables so that you can see what the calculations are. All right, that'll be it for now, but you know how to find me if you have any questions. Good luck with that activity.